Hello. We want to welcome you to our show today, the Sunnyside Community Voice. We've been out of the studio for a couple of weeks, and we're back in the studio. Now, today, our show, we're going to rehash some of the things that we've been dealing with, and for the past 2.5 months, we've been dealing with mental health awareness. And today, we're just going to have a little group discussion on the things that we have done in these past 2.5 months. To my left here, we have Robin Bennett of Robin's Haven of Hope, who is one of our co-hosts. And then we have Pastor Nash, who is our CEO. We've been dealing with mental health now, like I said, for the past 2.5 months, and it's really been a good show. And we want to hope that we've been given out good information on what one can do if you have a family member that has a problem, if you know of someone that has a problem, you can get some good information out to them to help, because mental health is real. Mental disease is out there. It affects us in many different ways. We either have a family member that has a mental health problem, we know someone that has a mental health problem, or we are victims of a crime perpetrated by someone with mental health. And we've looked at this month, these past 2.5 months, we've looked at mental health from all aspects. We've looked at it from the court system, from the jail system, from the attorneys have been here to see us. So we've really been exploring this mental health. And July is Minority Mental Health Month. So we're going to continue on just a little bit longer to get as much information out as we can. We're going to have Pastor Nash now give you some of the thoughts on some of the stuff that we have, some of the shows that we have done. Pastor Nash?
Thank you. One of the things I'm excited about is the fact that we brought our camera technician out to our center.
Yes, yes.
And because of that, we brought the show to the community and was able to get a good crowd, I would call. And people came up with testimonies concerning some of the people in their families, people that they know that had some sort of a mental disorder. It was just a wonderful sitting to hear people that sometimes we see people in denial that will come forth and talk about that. That was really exciting, and I want to thank you all for the participation, what you did for the show that day. And I mean, the people came in, and a very exciting show. Our host, she did a great job carrying a mic from place to place. We had our panelists did a great job and analyzing the situation sometimes with different people. It was just exciting to me to see the people come to our center, especially. And we want to thank our cameraman for coming out there and bringing the show to the community such as it was. We've had some exciting shows.
Yes,
We've had some great guests on our shows, and I think this is a good time to kind of rehash them and some of the people we've had on the show. One of the persons that we had on the show was George Parnham. One people familiar with him with this Andre Yates case, and he was very good at explaining her condition even now, and how she had kind of leaned on him quite a bit. And I could see that because in that condition, she really needed somebody that she felt she could trust. And I also think that in people with those conditions like that, it has to be somebody that they have confidence in, that they can trust to deal with them with that situation. I know, and I talked about this with my granddaughter, and more you see more young people talking about committing suicide, and not just talking about them. Some people actually commit suicide, and they're getting younger and younger, and that's disturbing to me.
Yes, they are.
Because somewhere we got to start with our young kids at an early age, and detect something that's not normal with them. Some behavior that's not normal, and rather than say they are bad, we might take a look at it from the standpoint that they just might be developing some sort of a disorder mentally, and we give a lot of attention to that, you know. And one thing we talked about, we talked about this in our meeting at our center, that you can't beat them.
No.
You can't beat them to try to get them to act in order, let's say that. Because what you do, you have a tendency sometimes to drive them away. They shut their mouth, and something they're dealing with, they would not reveal it to you. I've said that in our church, for instance, that parents have to learn to listen sometimes.
Exactly.
And not be so quick to push our kids away from them. Say, oh, we don't want to talk. How can you have a problem? How can you have issues? You're not paying any bills. You're not buying any food. You don't have to worry about anything. But the young people develop issues other than that are created in the home. They deal with a lot of people on the outside, and sometimes, especially young girls, get attached with some young man that he doesn't have any focus. He doesn't know where he want to go, and consequently, he's trying to take them where he don't know where he's going. So we got so many issues when it comes to young people. And then we talk about the jailhouse. We had Sheriff Garcia, we had Judge Ed Emmett, District Attorney Bridgewater from that standpoint, and Judge Jan Crocker. I've always had a problem with people. They're locking people up in jail that have mental disorders. Now, if you got somebody that you're trying to get them protection, maybe from harming themselves, harming others, well, that's a different scenario. But when you got people that's out there not doing anybody any harm, you know they got a problem, why continue to lock them up? We need to try to find some means and some ways that some sort of a facility that these people can go to and get help on a regular basis, and not just incarceration.
That's right.
Because when they go to jail, many times they don't request medication if they're on medication. And so what happened, they spend a few days in jail, right back out on the street. It's a cycle that doesn't do anybody good. So these shows have been really helpful to me. I've learned a lot about mental health because of these shows, and I have to give Robin credit that she's the one that mentioned the fact we need to talk about this, because this is very severe when we talk about mental health. A lot of people have them in the family, people in the family, and it's almost like we're embarrassed, especially in the black community. You know, I talked about that on one of the shows, that mental health is almost, mental disorders are something like a 500-pound gorilla in our living rooms, in our community, because we are afraid to admit. And a lot of times what happens, we prevent people from getting the necessary help that they need. And bringing the show to the community center, there was a young lady found out that she could get help.
That's right.
She didn't even know that help was available to her, because we always look at it from a monetary standpoint, where a financial standpoint. I don't have the money to go see a doctor and all that. And we have to be careful even sometimes, because you know, you send your kid to a psychiatrist, and what you find out is that the psychiatrist needs help himself. so it's a lot of things we found out, and I thank God that we had these programs, because the fact that we've helped a lot of people with them, and we've had a lot of hits from the show, and just thinking about the people we've had on the show has been a plus for us.
Yes.
Because in bringing them on, they were far more familiar and informed and educated concerning mental health than we are.
Yes.
We just learned from them. We thought we knew something until we found out we really don't know anything when it comes to mental health, because it can affect anybody. It can be long term, it can be, or it can be an immediate thing that happened, that we too could develop some sort of a mental disorder. I looked up the word bipolar. Remember I said that in the dictionary, said that you're up, you're down. I said, oh, we all got a bipolar problem. So it's been a fun show to us, that we talked about it. At the same time, it's so serious that we really need to put more interest in it and get more details and more education about it, because it's a great show.
And I'm glad you said that, Pastor, because we are not professionals here. You know, we don't know everything. Yeah. So what we chose to do was get people on the show who could enlighten us about things. And as Pastor said, I'm a lot more enlightened now than I was when I first started off. And I really do appreciate, she doesn't know how much we appreciate her, because she goes out and she gets information for us. Robin is our statistics person. She'll get on the computer and she pulls up information for us. So Robin, I want to hear your thoughts on all the shows that we've had.
Oh, well, first of all, giving honor to God, and thank you, Reverend Nash, for believing in my passion and believing in me when I come to you. And it's very important that our clergymen believe in us.
Exactly.
Because the church, number one, does not want to hear the things that affects the African American community. Mental illness, HIV, AIDS, they want to sweep it under the rug. But you cannot hide. And I have to give you your kudo points for standing up with me and standing up and speaking out, because it's so important, because the church is the root of the African American community.
Yes, it is. Yes,
and if you go to the church, that's the place where everybody believes what the preacher says. That's a fact. They're going to believe it. And our clergymen need to come together and save our community. We can get Judge Ed Emmett, we can get Judge Crocker, but until we get each other together, nothing is going to work. That's the real basis of this story. We have got to save ourselves. I'm very honorable that they did come. Now they have given us education, they've given us a tool, and we're going to go back to the garden. So now it's time for us to come together and plant the seed to save our young children. Suicide rate in our youth are at an alarming rate. Black people always say, oh, black people don't kill themselves. Well, we're killing ourselves faster than we ever did before.
Exactly.
So we got to quit saying who or what, regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your status is, this can come from anywhere, and help is needed. We need not be ashamed. We need to embrace it. Save our babies. Please save our children, because we're getting old, Reverend Nash. Who's going to take our place if we lose our children to something that they can get help for? So my impact was to break the silence, unlock the door, Miss Shirley. Get the help, let the African American community know. I don't care who your family is. You got some mental illness in it. There is nothing to be ashamed of. You can say, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Oh, yes, I do. You just don't want to know. You got to stand up. You pray. You say you pray. You believe in God. God did not put a doctor here for no reason. He did not put a psychiatrist here for no reason. And he's truthfully, some of them get overwhelmed by what they hear too. But still in all, we have got to realize help is there for us. We can't keep blaming other people for our shortfalls. I may make someone's angry by listening, but and if you really sit down and say, well, she is telling the truth. We gotta come together and help ourselves and accept the help. But first, we gotta step out and say, okay, this is what we need and this is what we're gonna do. As Reverend Nash has embraced mental illness, every pastor in the city in the month of July should hold a prayer vigil to help reach our community, especially our children. It's less and less for them to do and more bad things for them to do. So we need to embrace them most of all. The prime example is that 17-year-old girl. She was 17 when she met this man. He's 30. Now she's sitting behind bars, baffled, confused, don't know what to do. I don't even know the real situation. Scalding him to death. She didn't mean to do that, but now it's too late. No one saw this older man with this baby. Something's wrong with this picture. We need to take hold of our children. We need to find some things to help them with. So everybody was good on the show. Thank you, Reverend Nash. Thank you, Miss Shirley. I really think Reverend Nash, because he opened up his activity center. He embraced the idea. He wasn't afraid of what anyone thought. And that's really guts nowadays, because everybody is worried about what's in, not what need to be in, but what's in. So I embrace him for doing that. I thank everyone who came. I thank Mr. Pittman. I thank Sheriff Garcias. I thank Judge Crocker. I thank Judge Ed Emmett. Basically, Judge Ed Emmett, when he said he was raised in a house with anxiety. So his personal story was told. Judge Crocker has a compassion for the community. Now, why can't we embrace when the court's coming to us, when the court's coming to help us, and we still can't connect? Until we connect, it's going to be a pandemic in the African American community until we realize no one is planning anything on us. No one is doing anything. We're destroying ourselves. And I love my people, but may the truth set you free. And that's coming from the heart, because God placed it in my heart to do this. He gave me the title. He gave me everything. He gave me Reverend Nash to use as a tool to help me to reach the community by opening up the doors, Marvin coming out, Dr. Gilmore,
Yeah.
Jenna with NAMI, she told her personal story. I told mine. What's wrong with talking about it? What's wrong? So I'm just honored.
We just can't keep it a secret.